Welcome to Wisdom of the Modern Crone. My name is Elisa Chastain, creator of the Rebel Crone, and I'm your host. This podcast is dedicated to women that have defied the stereotype of aging. They are living life on their own terms with grace, wisdom, and power. I consider these modern crones to be the living keepers of wisdom. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Rebel Crone and my celebration of women, and especially women, I should say mature women. And the reason of doing this podcast and this video series is because so often in this country, we are taught that the whole aging process is something to be afraid of, especially as women, that there's so many negative connotations, especially when we go through the change of life, right? The big change, which men have labeled menopause, which I don't know one woman, one crone friend of mine that will accept that word. It's actually an upgrade. And that's what I want to talk about today with my special guest, Thomesa Lydon. And I've known Thomesa for quite a few years now. We actually met doing a training for public speaking. And it was pretty phenomenal. And she is a very inspiring woman. She has inspired me just by following her through social media. So I want to just share a little bit about her journey, because I think it is going to be so helpful to women of our age and also younger women, so that we can demystify this whole business about getting older, because we're not getting older, we are getting better, aren't we, ladies? Anybody that's gone through their change in life and is upgraded, you know exactly what I mean. So welcome, Thomesa. I'm so glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and I wouldn't trade my age for the world.
Amen to that. I agree. It's so cute. Thomesa and I were chatting a little bit before I started recording, and she said that when she got the invitation from me and read of the Rebel Crone, she was like, "Well, what is this crone business?" So you want to go ahead and share a little bit, Thomesa, because you looked that word right up, and I love what you had to say because that's exactly why I chose it.
Well, I totally understood the word rebel because that is me. I said, "What is crone? I guess I better check the dictionary for that." And it said, quickly came up, ugly, evil woman. I'm like, what's this? So I continued to research because I thought, no way is she interviewing for that purpose. So as I researched it, I discovered its wisdom and the age of grace and the age of crowning glory. So I'm kind of excited now to be here. I was a little bit skeptical in the beginning with that first definition, but hey, it's come a long way and I'm proud of it too.
I hear you on that one, sister. Absolutely. And I'm so glad you reminded me of that, because when I first started doing videos, which is 100 and some videos ago, I talked about it quite often. Then I haven't spoken about it in a while. So I think it's a really good refresher out there for women. If you think, oh my God, crone, the Old English dictionary is the hag, old, ugly woman. If you think about the time period of Old England, when the Old English dictionary came around, and that was definitely after the whole witch hunts and the whole patriarchal, really intense takeover. Spiritually and religiously in this world. And what happened after that, obviously, was a putting women in a different position than what they were before, which was a revered position. And all of our elders, men or women, were revered in days of yore. I mean, in part of the village, it was the elders that were taken care of, and they people came to for advice, and they set the whole course and template for what went on in the village. I mean, there's key pivotal roles. And as far as women go, oh my gosh, we were honored and revered. I mean, in fact, the crone is the crowning glory of aging. So let's go into it, Thomesa. But my first
Okay.
question for you is, when did you first know that you were a rebel?
Ooh, I was probably aware of it at 5 years old. My folks may have been aware of it a lot earlier, but at 5 years old, I knew that I was destined to be ruffling feathers because things I was told to do and the training and the values and all that our parents are teaching us, I'm like, wait a minute, I think I can do this a different way. Let me just see if I can buck this system. So I think at 5 years old, I kind of started my little path to the rebel world.
I love it. I love it. I think we're born rebels.
That's
So
probably
true.
true.
And what I want to do in these interviews, and I hope you don't mind, if you do, I can cut this out later. But I really want to talk openly about our ages. And I'm always saying all through my videos, I'm always telling people how old I am. Instead of being ashamed of it, is I'm wearing it proudly. In January, I just turned 64. And, so my growing up as a little girls through the 60s and then coming kind of age as a teenager was in the 70s. So if you'd like to talk a little bit about it, because I think it's really important, like young ladies growing up now, it's a very, very different climate than when I grew up, when you grew up. Mine was like kind of the postmodern woman was, women that all of a sudden were in the workforce and part of that whole rebellion that was set up by women. For me, it was I felt like that women that like the option of being a mother was poo-pooed on, that we were, emancipation was career, was getting out there and doing things, differently. So I don't know if you could want to speak a little bit about kind of setting that context as we come into your Crone rebellion years, a little bit about what it was like for you growing up and especially in the aging process. Because clearly, I mean, you don't have to go on all the details because I bet you every step along the way you did things differently.
Yes, I did. And I'm kind of proud of it, I will say. I never got into any serious trouble, but I think I was proud of how I stood my ground. And I grew up as an Air Force brat. So the structure in that home was very, very, well, military brats understand it, but civilians may not. But it was very structured, very much about what other people think, very much about the prim and proper. And I am furthest from the prim and proper. My sister's perfect prim and proper. So is my mom. And I just was like, no, that's not me. Um, First of all, I got my dad's name. He's Thomas Eugene. And I became, they thought I was going to be a boy. So I became Thomesa Jean. So I'm Junior. And all I say, I just say, well, I kind of am the female Junior. And that was my first rebel part of, hey, juniors aren't girls, but here I am. But Air Force brat life was very structured and I was not. So it was just always kind of bucking the system. I am, in August, I will be 72 and I'm proud of it. I always pretty much lead with my age, which doesn't bother me. And I have some girlfriends that say, why do you always say your age? And I go, I'm pretty proud of it. I am pretty proud of it. I mean, first of all, we got to be this age. And in the baby boomer era, we kind of started, forging our own paths anyway. I didn't come from the burn your bra era. I was just a little past that. Didn't wear a bra back in the 60s. So anyway, so yeah, we just blazed our own path, and it is but is in as much structure as we could, or as I could, being an Air Force brat. My dad was very, very strict, and they always cared about what other people thought. My idea is, I don't care what people think. If they don't like me, they can just keep walking because I am who I am. And I've always been that way. And even though deep down, sometimes I'm nervous about approaching certain things, I always go, if they don't like it, they can just keep on moving. But there is in the deep gut, I go, oh, am I really this way? And I am. So that's all there is to it.
I love it. Thomesa, thank you for sharing that. So has you got, let's say, coming up to the big change in life? So that would be like in your 40s and getting early 50s. That's the time as a woman we really start seeing like physical changes. And so let's just start with the physical changes. Let's see, like what was your mindset on noticing the changes happening with you?
I'm a little bit different in all of that regard. I don't think I noticed it at all. I have never had a hot flash. I have never felt all of the frustrations that I hear from most every woman on this earth. I suddenly was 52 years old and things weren't happening like they used to. And I didn't question it. I have never sat and studied behavior. I didn't care about what I felt like, what I looked like. It just was, it was what it was. And I will say I'm just uniquely different in that I didn't realize I was going through the change of life when suddenly I was upgraded, as you call it, which I think is lovely. I think that's so great. So at 52 years old, I was upgraded. My kids had graduated high school, so I was kind of, you know, empty nester, and I just didn't notice anything.
Well, blessed are you. I want
I
to give
know.
I want to give cred just a minute. So Luann Brizendine is an author that I have really appreciated over the years. She wrote years back, I read The Female Brain and then The Male Brain. And she's an endocrinologist that has gone way past the traditional studies to really, honestly look at the endocrine difference as far as the development of little girls and little boys and on through life. And her most recent book is called The Upgrade. So I want to give credit where credit is due, is that she coined that phrase and I love it. So I'm using it because I think it's an absolute upgrade. Well, I think that's to me. So thank you for sharing like your journey and that how you just kind of naturally slid into the upgrade. Because so
And
often,
I'm
yeah,
sure women will be jealous about that. But
yeah, but there's
I was
something to be learned in it. There's something to be learned as an example of that you didn't go in with fear, trepidation, with a mindset of what, menopause and all the stuff that come around it. You didn't buy into that paradigm so that the after
that
effects of that paradigm didn't affect you.
that's I'm pretty proud of the fact that that in itself taught me a little bit more about mindset and mind over matter, without concentrating and thinking, oh gosh, I'm at this age, this is going to start happening, I got to do this, I can't do that. I literally just embraced, tomorrow I'm another year older, next year I'm another year older, and what happened happened. And not concentrating on it and setting your mind on expectations was huge to me. So I think that was a learning experience for my 50s and forward.
And you've translated, let's talk about how you translated it on many different levels. I'd like to talk about your journey physically because it's very inspiring, some of the new sports and things you've taken up. And also, as far as like intellectually and emotionally, you've written a book, you have an incredible career path of giving back and helping. And I just like to, because I find that like so inspiring about you, Thomesa. So let's look at how you've leveraged that mindset on a few different levels there to get what you're doing today. So if you could talk maybe a little bit, let's just talk about your physical prowess and what you have accomplished through a very specific sport.
Very specific.
I love that sport too.
Quite shocking to me. I was never about exercise. I mean, I didn't know how to do a sit-up. I didn't know what a push-up was. I didn't care. I wasn't physically excited about exercise at all. I believe I stayed active in just being, just active in my world of being, but I didn't specifically do anything in the exercise realm. Now, my dad was very unhealthy. At the age of 47, he had his first massive heart attack, and he lived to be 81. But he had heart trouble, he had kidney failure, he had COPD, lung disorder, he had diabetes. He was just a picture of unhealth, even though he looked like a picture of health, and he played racquetball all the time. So he had, all kinds of capillaries in his heart working out so that, or building so that he could work out and do things. But I just was never that. My mother was the basic homemaker, stayed home with the kids, cooked, cleaned, and did all of that domestic stuff, which I did. And that's my little rebel side too. But she was just perfect in all of that. She never exercised. She ate, she baked, she wrote 3 cookbooks, and they're mostly all dealing, they're called Angels in Your Kitchen, but they're mostly dealing with a lot of ooey gooey, sugary, fun foods that we grew up on. And she ended up with Alzheimer's, 14 years of Alzheimer's. And my armchair diagnosis of what causes Alzheimer's summed up into 3 things. Too much sugar, so the diet is not proper, lack of exercise, she never exercised, and trauma or stress. My youngest brother, my only brother, was passed away at age 27, hence she wrote the books Angels in Your Kitchen in his memory. But she experienced some major trauma in her life, and so her health was great, her mind and brain were diminishing. So 14 years of that, I realized if those are 3 components, now that's not the medical world's conversation, but that was my decision of what can I control or fix? And those 2 for sure, sugar, diet, and exercise, I could control and do something about. Stress and trauma, I'm just going to try to avoid all of that as best I can. But at the age of 67, I decided to go work out. And I didn't know what workout meant, but I went to a fit camp, and boy, I couldn't even get my shoulders off the ground for a sit up. I had to be explained every move. What's a squat? I don't know. But 4 years of that has changed my life in that I learned to eat a lot of protein. I learned to cut out sugars and the bad carbs, and take on fitness. So at the age of 69 and a half, I decided to enter, well, I was encouraged to enter a competition, body competition. So reluctantly at first I did. And I couldn't be more proud of the fact that I did it. I trained for 4 months. I had massive muscle mass and very, very little body fat. I think I was down to 9 or 10% body fat, which probably isn't as healthy as I should be at this age. But for that competition, it was important. And I made it through it. So it was fun. It was exciting. And it was, to me, stating to older women, you too can do this. We don't have to act like we get a certain age, our muscles aren't going to respond, that we just, are going to age out and just the way it is. No, at 67, I started working out and got some muscle structure. And then 69 and a half, as we get older, we add the half back to what we used to say when we were 12 and a half. Now we're 69 and a half and on. But at 69 and a half, I was pretty impressed myself with the muscle tone that I was able to achieve. So I still work out. I took up pickleball about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, and I'm having a blast in that. I never thought I would take that up because to me that felt like an old people sport, but it isn't. There are a lot of young people, and it is fun. It is addicting and it is fun. So I've been playing that about 2 hours every morning. And then I'll still, on every other day, I'll do some weight training and some squats.
I just need to say a little bit about weight training for women. When I was in college in the early 80s, I took up bodybuilding weight training. And this was a time when it was just, the movement was just starting to cross over and women doing it before women started doing steroids and getting really extreme with it. And the women's bodies I saw were very lean and fit, and they were just so gorgeous. It's like, I want that. And so I started going to a male's gym off campus, and I was the only female going in. And I went every morning, and Big Al, that owned the gym, he trained me all by myself, trained me every morning. So I knew what I was doing. And then one day, I don't know, months later, I showed up at 5 o'clock when all the men were there. And I walked in with, you don't wear tights in that back then. It would have been sweats and baggies up. But man, I walked my ass in there and I sat down. I was like, hey, give me a spot on this. I knew exactly what I was doing. And the men, in time, they learned to really respect the effort and how hard of a worker, how hard I worked out and all that. But the make the long story short, is what it did, it transformed my body in an amazing way, is lifting weights. And at my age now, I still go back in the gym, and I'm not as interested as I was earlier in my life as far as training that hard, but I do enough to keep muscle mass on. And my physical therapist was telling me that for women, as we get older, it's really important doing heavier weights. You're not going to get anywhere close to being bulky. You don't have to worry about that. But the heavier weights really, it's something she was talking about. And I'm not, not a physical therapist. I'm not a doctor and all that, but it triggers something endocrine wise in our bodies as far as balancing and rejuvenating and youthfulness by doing little shorter sets and just pushing heavier weights. It kind of shocks our bodies back awake, and which is an important thing, because there's a part of us, right, that wants to go into entropy as we get older, and it just kind of wants to go to sleep. We have to keep triggering it back up. Come on, growth, keep channeling upwards. So I think that's a beautiful story. In fact, I might just ask you for one of your pictures I can put on the thumbnail of our interview of
I'll
you from
send
the
you. I will send you one.
competition.
I'm okay with it.
I love,
I'm
well, you
okay with
should
sending it.
be,
Well,
because you
I will tell you, the 4 years
gorgeous.
of working out and the training, I was literally just, we worked out outside. I'm not a gym rat. I couldn't tell you how to use a piece of equipment. We literally did the old school isometrics, calisthenics, and we did have some kettlebells. The heaviest one I lifted was 15 pounds with squats, and then some dumbbells for lifting was basically 5-pounders, maybe an 8-pounder from time to time. But I'm not a gym rat. I don't go to the gym and do that. So any of this can be done right in your floor over here or wherever you have room to do that. And right now at home, I just have some 5-pound weights. Sometimes I will double them for one arm, so I'll have a 10, but it's really a simple task to just get off the sofa, get out of the chair, and do a few minutes here and there. So many people are sedentary, and that is our problem, being sedentary. We feel older, our joints tighten up. So movement is huge, huge.
Strength. Mike's always telling me about, because he always researches this kind of stuff. I don't. I just kind of do it. He's always like that. One of the number one limiters of old age and determinant of how soon you're going to die is they talk about like leg strength in particular, but it's just physical strength. And you don't have that, how we just kind of wilt away. Want to just share, when I was coming into my 50s, coming into the upgrade, I started putting on the upgrade belly, and I started, my body started changing, and I was like, no, no, no. So I started CrossFit, and I did that for a few years and did a paleo diet, and that completely switched everything around. That's never come back since then. I had some major back surgery, so I can't do CrossFit in that way, but I can do other things. But it was just, I love that sport. And if I hadn't had the back surgery, I would be in doing CrossFit still to this day, because it happens to just personally appeal to me very much.
Well, I can tell you, I never fell in love with exercise in all these and now it's 67, these 5 years of working out, first time in a lifetime, these last 5 years. I've never fallen in love with exercise. I just feel like that's something, it's important. I don't want to end up with Alzheimer's or health issues like my dad and my mom. I try to eat better and eat well, clean as I can eat. I do have that weakness for a few little of the bad carbs because I love Mexican food and chips and salsa, but I do that to a limit. And it's just a mindset again. I always feel like aging is not an option, but getting old is, because it's in your head and your heart. And you can offset that literally with a few minor changes and mainly a mindset change. And I think that's why I wrote the book a long time, well, back in 2018, I wrote the book, Smart Living for Seniors, How to Make the Best of the Rest, because I was dealing with a lot of seniors in my real estate business that were literally just surviving and not thriving. And I felt like once I would go have a consultation with them and visit with them, they would let me know how good they felt after visiting. And it was like they were lonely. They had no laughter. They had no communication in some regards. And so it was important to me to let the world know that it's not all about just existing and waiting till, you fall into the, you're underground. But you got to have music, dance, laughter in your life, and you have to have camaraderie of some sort. Whether you can't get around physically and you just need to call somebody, that communication is huge for longevity and for a youthful mind. My tagline of my book was "Youthful Minds Over Aging Matters," because it does matter. And those are huge matters as we age, that we can keep that youthfulness about us, but we have to know what to do and how to do it. But laughter is the best medicine, and I will continue to laugh my ass off every chance I get.
I love it. I love it. So beautifully shared, because one of the messages that we receive as women, but as men too, is when you reach a certain age, you're irrelevant anymore. And we're just to coast off into the sunset, just sail off and just off the edge of the world. And thank you very much for your contributions. We don't need you anymore. And
Not
that is
rebels,
just
not rebels.
not rebels, dag darn it, not rebels. Oh my gosh, I'm blessed with many beautiful rebel crones here in the Santa Fe area. And in fact, my core group of friends here are all, I'm the baby crone. I'm baby crone with them because they're all in their late 60s, early 70s. And before I started the Rebel Crone, I interviewed a whole bunch of women, and they were all older than me. I was like, oh, I never kind of looked at it that way because I felt like, but still, we're same peer group. They all said to a T that it just got better. And in fact, when they hit the 70 mark, they go, it just gets better. My mind just blew at that moment. I was you who said who said that? Nobody said. No, I've never been told that. I was never told that. Even thinking I'm such a rebel and going in gracefully, aging with grace, purpose, and power. But still, I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of categorized myself, okay, this is it. And I don't know, I didn't think about 70s and 80s. And, for all these women to a T saying that it just got better for them.
Well,
And you started.
society sets us up for that, to feel like, okay, we're kind of irrelevant and we're invisible. Nobody's looking at us. The younger guys aren't interested. The older guys aren't interested unless they need a nurse. But, but that's another subject. But anyway, it is a society thing, and we just need to break through that glass ceiling of, like, we are relevant and we have a lot to share and a lot of value. And if we take care of ourselves on a physical level to a degree that we still keep our cognizance and our physicality, uh, we can live for years and years and years and live well. It's all about living well, living long, and living young. But Kevin, what's the guy from Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary, had said one time, it's not about how long you live, it's about the quality of life while you're living longer. And that is so true. That is so true. So just, eliminating all the negatives in our world of aging and concentrating on the positives is a great thing.
Oh, it is. It's so true. Everything in life, and even more so the older we get, it's really, really important to focus on the positive. And, it's just about, as you're talking, I was just reminded about, one of my key messages with the Rebel Crone is when finding your purpose and your passions and stuff is about being true to you. And the older we get, I have found that this becomes easier. As a young lady, there are so many pushes and pulls on me as far as, my interest in men, my trying to do this career and this and trying to find my way in the world, that we're just kind of experimenting and learning. And it's just, as a woman, it's a little tricky. It's very different as a man. But as a woman, it can be kind of tricky, is finding that grounding in, finding yourself and grounding in who that is. And I found as I've gotten older that is because I've done the work. on all the different areas. I've done the work, and I find that it's just gotten easier knowing me and being able to express and just be who I am. I think that's one of the beautiful gifts with age is that you come to know yourself. And that's the
Well, and
starting point for it all.
there's so many people that aren't tuned into themselves. And I always tell people, spend a day in isolation with just yourself and see if you can do it. Because some people can't. They need that external vindication of, that they're valuable or something. But when you can stay in your own space and be alone and maybe turn off all the devices and just be, you'll grasp so much power that you have within your own soul that you will become a dynamo. And maybe that's something someone has to practice on a regular basis, once a week, once a month, what have you. But if you do that, you are going to be surprised at how much power, self-power you have to go out and be who you are and what your purpose is on this life and fulfill it instead of shying away into your four corner or your four walls in a corner somewhere. Don't be the wallflower, be the flower, and just be out there and be bold. I don't think growing up I was as bold as I have become since I was 50. And I've had men tell me I was intimidating. And I thought, again, I had to look at that word up in the dictionary because I thought I knew the definition of intimidating, and I didn't think I had any part of it. But yeah, I was right. The definition of intimidating, I was right. But I'm like, I'm not intimidating. But it's when you are in your power and other people can feel it and see it, especially men in that working world where we were trying to break through the ceilings when in my growing up years, they can be intimidated by a powerful woman, but don't shy down from that. Just embrace it and enjoy it and continue to just thrive as a result of it. They'll get over
Well,
it.
I think when we get rid of the procreation initiative in our body through hormones, it's one thing when we're still cycling, there is a huge hormonal component that's the drive to procreate. Now, you may not think, do I want kids, not want kids? It doesn't matter. It's a physiological thing that we're talking about here. And when we take that physiological drive away, it just changes. Our relationship with men, our need, for sexuality, sensuality, interaction, all that actually it transforms, I found, in a really beautiful way. And I feel like I am my sexiest I've ever been.
Oh, I'm
Maybe I
still
don't.
all about that. I mean,
Oh my
you
God.
can't thrive without that.
I'm telling you, like when I walk in a room, I walk in a room, and I'm going to be just my beautiful, confident me. And people can take it however they want to do it, but it's kind, it's loving, it's gracious. It's not the striding. Because here it is, Thomesa, and you can, because I feel like you epitomize a beautiful, healthy, gracious way of maturing. Because there's another side to that. There's a side where, and we feel, and I'm sure you felt that, where we can get bitter, we can get angry of the power we've given away in the past. You can speak about it on your terms, but for me, it's like, oh, I've spent so much of my time just really trying to be trying everything for somebody else. Whether it's in a job, in a career, in being an entrepreneur, being in a relationship, whatever. But there's this whole like trying to be everything for other people. When you get older, you're just like, oh, part of the upgrade is I'm going to be everything for me, like
Well,
it or
it's
not.
time. It's time for us to take consideration of our own being because we have been that for all parties. And again, growing up where, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where women did stay home, they were barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, kind of a comment. That was how it was supposed to be for me. And it's like, no way is that going to happen. But I mean, I did have kids. I was married. I did all of those things I was expected to do as a female, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But it comes a time when you have to say, but what about me? And it's not being selfish. at all. At this time in life, it is time if we want to take, and it should have been all along, because if we want to take care of other people, we have to be taken care of. We have to be in the best shape we can be mentally, physically, and emotionally. And we can't help others if we're not, taking care of ourselves. But we kind of put that on the back burner. And now I think women, even the younger women that haven't upgraded, are putting that on the front burner to be more impactful in their relationships, in their careers, and just on the face of this earth. It's a whole different structure now, if you will. But I don't feel selfish in saying, hey, it's about me right now, because I've done my, I don't want to say duty, but I did my duty to raise my kids to have values and to take care of themselves. And so be it. So I'm going to sit back and watch what I did well and enjoy that part of it, but not to let the rest of my life, the fourth quarter, if you want to call it that, go by the wayside, because I have a lot more to offer. And I think we all do, if we just allow ourselves that opportunity to be that person, be in that space. And we're mentors now. We have a lot of wisdom. We've been through a lot, and times have changed. So I'm into light therapy now, which is activating my stem cells, which make me feel better and get those dormant stem cells up and working and doing the things they're supposed to do to help me stay younger and live better and healthier and pain-free, and all of those things that happen as we get older, or supposedly happen as we get older.
Exactly. Is that there's just so many suppositions and so many prejudices about age, and that's part of what I want to dispel, and I want to really demonstrate through these interviews of women that have said no to that and have said yes to themselves primarily. I mean, I think that's, you were spot on with that. I couldn't agree more that it all starts here. I mean, it starts and it starts and it ends here. We come in alone, we leave alone from this world. This is our journey, and it's a journey of self-discovery. And when we truly do that journey of self-discovery, I mean, then we can be that example, that shining example for others. It's a beautiful thing. And I say, as we get older as women, it's our prime time. I feel like my life right now culminated in who I am right now. And I'm actually at the start of that journey, of sharing my wisdom and sharing the specific power that I've generated through a lifetime of experience and learning from it. So it's just like it's a good time to be alive.
It really is. And I probably have hung out with people younger than myself, just because of the activity levels and I don't know, maybe mindset. But as I was a decade older than some of them, as they were changing and having a birthday to change decades, they would say, well, now that I'm going to be 50, how am I supposed to act? And it's like, what do you mean? You don't do anything different. Well, how am I supposed to dress? What do you mean? You don't do anything different. You just still continue to be you. It's just another day in your life. And yeah, we want to celebrate that we're getting older and celebrate our birthdays, but don't celebrate it in a negative way to go, now what do I have to do? How do I have to, pull it all back and be something different? And my dad used to say things like that to me. He's like, you're going to have to quit wearing the short skirts. You're going to have to quit wearing, and I'm going, well, why? I mean, that's who I am. I like the clothes I wear. My mom and dad didn't, but I appreciate it. And it's like, he goes, well, you got to get a little more frumpy. Why? Why do I have to get a little more frumpy because I turned 60 or 70 or, in a few years, 80? I'm not. I will be who I am, and continue to enjoy it, embrace it, and impress upon others to do the same.
Well, hoo, Thomesa, I love that, especially the style thing. That is something that anybody's watched my videos, that we were laughing about it before we started the interview, because our mentor told us the exact opposite. Don't do a lot of jewelry, keep a consistent uniform. And I've done the exact opposite. I change it up every single time. I love different looks. It depends on how I'm feeling that day, all of those things. So style for me has always been this beautiful expression of my inner self. And my journey with it over time is that I don't feel like I have to dress a certain way, or I don't feel like I have to be with this style or that style. I go by my own sense of inner style. And it does change. Like as much as I love the company Free People, I love their clothes. I look through and little baby doll stuff on me now just doesn't, I don't, it's just like I don't carry it off in the same way. So I've changed and it keeps changing, evolving. It has throughout my whole life, where some days like, nope, that's just not me anymore. This is me. But it's not looking outside of ourselves. And this is what you were touching on that I want to highlight. It's not looking outside of ourselves for the rules of what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to cover up and be frumpy and whatever because you're old. No, 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 no. I still like to dress sexy and beautiful. It's just a little different look for me than it was when I was younger. And it should be, but it is no less sexy, sexy and beautiful, because it comes from inside. So I know like, what I'm drawn to, and how I want to be just at that level alone, style wise.
Mhm.
And
No,
you
I love
always dress gorgeous.
I love
Yeah.
style, and I just put and mix match so many different things that I surprise myself sometimes. But when I'm getting ready to go somewhere with people, they'll go, well, "What are you wearing tonight?" And it's like, until I step in my closet, I don't know. I will wear what I feel at that moment, and that's just how I've always
Yeah.
been. And again, that was something, a rebel and growing up, because my folks just couldn't handle it. But hey, it worked for me, and I like the expression. Now, I got into color analysis years and years ago, and I feel like color can make a difference in how you even feel yourself, but it's also how people perceive you if your colors kind of mimic the whole colorway of your body, skin tones, and that kind of thing. It's just a little bit more powerful. So women that are interested in color analysis, they should probably get that and do that type of thing, because it just feels good inside and out. It's
Yeah.
very impactful. Color
It
is
is.
huge.
It is so, so impactful. I mean, in fact, when I decided to let my hair go gray, it did kind of change some of my color things, because I used to love some of the more earthy tone stuff. And so some of them don't just resonate as well as what they used to, but because there's going to be men that are watching this too. And I know sometimes men get like, oh, women are very concerned about their appearance, yet men look at us and judge us, as far as how we're on appearance, because women are really, I think, for me, the essence of femininity is beauty and is grace, is a very different essence than masculinity. And part of beauty and grace is about how is adorning, is how we adorn our house. I mean, look at your back behind you, how beautiful your home is. That's, to me, that is just graceful and easy. And there's an elegance about that. There's an elegance about you. And I feel like it's really part for me is part of self-empowerment, and also just wanting to share me with the world and show up authentically as me. And I'm going to show up with beauty. I'm going to show up with my own flavor and taste of it and style of it, but I'm going to show up with it. And colors and style, all that thing is really important about showing up, I think, in a way that your light can shine all the way through. And then people can see it for what it is, as opposed to trying to downplay it. I mean, I see women going out, older women, and they dress that frumpy, or they're just in their old REI stuff and covered up. And, I feel like they really, it's okay to be unique and to be expressive in your way, and to dress just dress how you want to dress, but do it in a
Well,
tasteful way.
my lifetime motto is keep it fun till I'm done. And if I can't have fun in my decor and in my clothing and my expression, then it's not fun. I'm having to box myself into something that isn't me, and that doesn't feel good. So if you want to keep it fun till you're done, you have to be you. You have to express you. And your home and surroundings, whether someone ever comes into them or not, it still has some say and impact in how, when you leave your home, what is the whole being that you just stepped out of, because it's coming out in the world with you, whether you want it to or not. So I'm just all about decluttering myself and my space, and to free up my headspace to just be authentic and enjoy my fourth quarter.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You're so inspiring. I mean, that's why I wanted to talk with you and get
Oh,
to know
thank
you
you.
better because it's really true. You know, we are in the fourth quarter and I'm very cognizant of the fact that this is the final episode in the life of Elisa, and I'm absolutely at peace with it. And I've lived my life on my terms for the most part. Coming into this time, though, is really this beautiful culmination, decluttering from the past, decluttering what the world says, just letting so much go so that we can really be with ourselves. And once we can be with ourselves, we can really shine that forth.
Oh,
I just,
it's so
oh,
peaceful. It is so calming. It is so relaxing and de-stressing to just be who you are and embrace it. That when people do that and get a taste of it, there's no putting them back in that cage. I will tell you that.
you ain't gonna put that genie back in the bottle. That
Right.
girl don't put back in there. Nothing you can do about once she's out, she's out.
He's out.
And fine. And how, like for you, is fine as far as um, any advice you can give to people about stepping out and finding some kind of community or friendships, or, because sometimes we get kind of stuck at home and stuck in patterns, and you clearly break patterns and are not shy or not hesitant about putting yourself out there. Is there a little secret Thomesa sauce that you can share with women about that?
You say that I'm not shy, but basically, if I had to say I'm an extroverted introvert, if that is a thing, and I think I've heard it to be a thing. So I
I'm
have
one of
that
those.
little intrepidation stuff that goes in, and the butterflies and the things like that. But I just tell myself, what if you don't go? What is the option? Sitting here and doing nothing? Not making a friend and have someone to talk to? What is the alternative? And if the alternative doesn't feel good and sound good, smell good and whatever, then if it can't meet any senses at all, then you have no choice but to just gut it up and say, you know what? I'm worthy of going out there. I'm going to go be the first person at this networking group. I'm going to be the first person at this new grand opening at a restaurant, and I'm going to be alone. I've been alone. I've been single for 23 years. And so I had to learn to go to places alone, learn to go to the movie alone, and be okay with that. It doesn't happen overnight like that, but it is something that you just have to constantly give yourself permission to be okay. And if you're embarrassed or a little bit of shyness about it, just take some deep breaths and continue on your path to where you're heading. And when you get there, it's amazing how friendly other people are. When I went to play pickleball for the first time, it's like I did go with a friend the first time, and then she, wasn't coming as often as I was. I was going every day. And I thought, I don't even know these people, but you just go put your paddle in the little racket and or the little rack, and you just play with the next three people that show up. So I have, in just this last month, I've met more people just by showing up. And that's the key. You have to show up no matter what. The practice will come, the experience will come, and the comfort level will come, but you will never grow. You will never expand in your comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone to grow, to expand, to embrace, and to get the best keeping it fun till you're done kind of attitude.
That's so beautiful thing. I think that's a perfect place to wrap it up. And, you just have to do it, right? You can have all this knowing, all this stuff inside, but unless you step out in action, in physical form, in action and do it, that's the biggest hurdle, I think. And so you feel uncomfortable, right? So you're feeling a little scared of that. It's just a feeling. It's
Mhm.
not the to be all. I know you've got the women you've overcome way bigger feelings than that throughout your life. This is our time for our big girl panties or no panties, whatever your whatever you like there. But this is the time for us to just really just to be us and shine it into the world however we feel drawn to do it and feel compelled to do that. And what looks exciting for you, we'll do it. You can go do a CrossFit thing. It's not like you don't have to be some burly, strong thing. You just do it at your level and people understand. You know,
They do.
they understand and they're gracious and accepting and helpful and yeah.
It is very surprising. It is very surprising how helpful people are when you show up. And I didn't have any problem with going, hey, I'm a newbie. I don't know what I'm doing. Show me how to hold this paddle as far as pickleball went. When I went to Fit Camp, showed up alone. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, hey, we'll just show you. So people are more open and willing than we think because we have expectations. And get rid of those expectations. Just go boldly out there and just keep it fun till you're done, girl.
Oh my God, I love it. We don't have to be in charge and know everything, ladies. We just don't have to. We had to do this in raising families and careers and all this stuff through life. And it's okay because now we give the gift to other people to help us. You know, I can't
Amen.
lift and do certain things like I could do before because of my back and different stuff. And I got a young person there go, hey, could you pick that up and do that for me? And they're like, oh my, they're like so happy to be helpful. You know, so you got to give that gift to other people and allow them to serve you, allow them to help you out, allow them to show you. I mean, that is a beautiful gift to learn how to receive as well,
That's a
especially in
great
our age.
comment. That's a great comment you make because that is something that was hard for me to allow someone to, because I was trying to be the, do and be the all encompassing that could do everything and I didn't need help. But when I started allowing people to use their gifts to help me, it was inspiring on both sides. So that's a great comment you just make. Allow people, be able to receive.
Yeah, yeah, amen. For women, especially men in a different way, but in our specific way, women, it's okay. You know, we don't have to like hold it all together. It's not all up to us. You know, all these things that had to be when we were younger, it's very different now. And I think just like bottom line, I hope that this is like so inspiring to other women around our age group, younger women. I'm just ladies, you don't have to go hiding as you get older. You do not have to be afraid of it. In fact, you can be excited about it. And I think Thomesa is such an inspiring example of that. It's just a whole incredible world that's opening up to you once you upgrade. Once you go through your change, I tell you, it's a different ball game and it's a good one. It's
It's
a
a
different
good one.
pickleball court and it's a good one.
Well, thank you a lot for letting me come in today and share with your viewers. This was fun
uh,
and you're inspiring as well. So thank you for allowing the opportunity here.
Absolutely. Do you still have your book there? Could you share it with people and where it's available if somebody
It
wants
it
to get
is
a
on
copy?
it is on Amazon. It's Smart Living for Seniors, How to Make the Best of the Rest. It's very simple, short reading and just tells you how to have fun.
Yes, and you want it for yourself, absolutely. Or if you're younger and you do have your parents still around, thank God for that. What a blessing. And you might want to get it for them. I will provide a link in the bottom of the interview so people you can just click on it easily and you can get it. You can also find Thomesa on social media, on Facebook. That's where I've kept up with your journey and your CrossFit adventures and your competition adventures and all the cool things you're up to. So, anyways, thank you, my dear friend. I appreciate you very much. And as always, I like to end all my videos with a little blessing saying, peace from within, because that is where it starts.